I'm Patrick Watson, I'm an astrologer, you're watching BigFatAstroVlog, and in this past week I lost 6 pounds. What happens if I'm no longer a big, fat astro? If you have a pulse and an ephemeris, you'll know that Venus is currently retrograde in Aries. And all that means is that when Venus comes between the Sun and the Earth, she appears to move backward through the zodiac. She's backing that thing up. She's dipping it low and picking it up slow. She's grinding and twerking and getting that thing all up in your face, getting you sprung. Venus retrograde is the rarest of all the planets retrogrades, only lasting for about 40 days. It happens in the same 5 areas of the zodiac over a period of exactly 8 years. This means that Venus is only retrograde 6% of the time. Even if you include the pre- and post-retro shadow periods, we're still only talking about a condition Venus is in under 19% of the time. So meaningful correlations between these periods are somewhat remarkable from this point of view. And those 5 areas of the zodiac that Venus goes retrograde in form a pentagram that shifts backward through the zodiac by 2 degrees every 8 years. And the pentagram kind of gets a bad rap. I mean, really, given that Venus is supposed to represent love and kindness and unity, you'd think it'd be a more popular symbol for any religion that wants to present itself as being about love and kindness and unity. I'm almost impressed by the demonization of the pentagram. Like, you literally made a shape evil. Congratulations. What's next? The evil square? I've always thought it's funny that Satanists wear the pentagram. I mean, how hardcore can you be if you're wearing the cycle of Venus? You might as well wear Hello Kitty or My Little Pony or something. You could at least wear a septacle. That's at least representative of the cycle of Mars, which is at least a little scarier than Venus. But that's Venus on a regular day. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, and sometimes Venus acts in ways in which are not expected of her. We usually understand Venus in terms of romance between people, but it's also relevant for other types of relationships between nations, races, and sexes. It's the relationship between masculinity and femininity that seem to be at the forefront of this current Venus retrograde in Aries of 2017, more specifically on the bravery and boldness of women. On March 5th, the Washington Post reported on a massive scandal in the Marines. A Facebook group for Marines had been posting pictures of fellow female Marines in various states of undress without their consent. Right around the same time, Vogue magazine did a photojournalism piece honoring women in the military. The military, of course, is the domain of Aries and its ruler Mars, and this is where Venus is going retrograde. This is where we're seeing scandal as well as a kind of focus on women in an Aries field. But it's not just in the military where women are displaying courage. The Day Without a Women's strike on International Women's Day occurred on the day of the Venus retrograde station, and in astonishing symbolism, even the statue of Lady Liberty went on strike, having had electrical issues and gone dark the night before the protest. A statue of a girl confidently and defiantly staring down the Wall Street Bull was erected to protest the lack of women on corporate boards, and infected dickholes on 4chan in real life are defiling it in Photoshop or mock humping it. Previous Venus retrogrades in Aries have featured this kind of thing before. During the Venus retrograde in Aries of 1913, women went on hunger strikes to protest for suffrage. During the Venus retrograde in Aries of 1929, women protested for equal rights by publicly smoking cigarettes or so-called torches of freedom, then considered a revolutionary act for a woman. And just 8 years later in 1937, women in cigarette factories went on strike and won union rights. Aries is a fire sign, remember, with the cigarettes and smoking and stuff. Fire. The Venus retrograde in Aries of 1969 featured the Red Stocking protests. The Venus retrograde in Aries of 1977 featured the first Take Back the Night marches to reclaim the night from violence against women. And in the Venus retrograde in Aries of 2001, Take Back the Night was made into a formal non-profit organization. In the Venus retrograde of 2009, the international community rebuked Afghanistan for passing the Shia Personal Status Law, which among other indignities to women, legalized rape of a woman by her husband. Afghan women risked their lives to protest this law. This is all so Venus retrograde, I can't even Aries right now. But it's not just the Venus retrogrades in Aries that are relevant for this cycle. There are also the corresponding Venus exterior conjunctions in Aries that seem to be equally telling. For example, the first time that women were allowed to serve in the United States military was during World War I, which was started on April 6, 1917, when the Sun, Venus, and Mars were conjunct in Aries. Because, of course they were. Speaking of women warriors, you might have heard of Joanna Polani from Denmark. She made a bit of a splash in the news last year when she claimed to have personally killed 100 ISIS members as a sniper. As a teen, she had dropped out of college and traveled to Syria to fight on behalf of human rights and women's rights against ISIS. She's freed women and children from sex slavery and trained many of them to fight against ISIS. I mean, yeah, I volunteered once on Earth Day in college. I picked up some tires. So she's now a huge target with $1 million bounty on her head from ISIS, but she's also in trouble with the Danish government by technically running afoul of their foreign fighter law, which most people consider to be kind of, well, fucked, considering that she's fighting against ISIS. Just a quick reminder, ISIS are the guys beheading people left and right and enslaving women and children as sex slaves in an apocalyptic death cult. Come on, cut her a break, guys. Despite my best efforts to get her birth date, between news reports about her age and from one of her Facebook statuses, the closest I could narrow it down to was that she was born sometime between February 12th and March 16th of 1993, a time period when Venus was, in Aries and, stationed retrograde in Aries. This is a woman who fights and kills on behalf of women, training women to fight, seemingly just as comfortable with a sniper rifle in her hand as she is taking pretty selfies on Instagram. This is Venus retrograde in Aries. Now, as for why this Venus retrograde cycle would relate to the issues of sex and gender specifically, I'm not sure. Venus in Aries is in its so-called detriment, since it's opposite to Libra, a sign it rules. It's furthest away from where it's generally expected to operate naturally. I didn't look at this as much of a bad thing, necessarily. Venus in Libra is a Disney princess. Venus in Aries is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Venus in Libra is Wonder Bread, and Venus in Aries is Wonder Woman. I'm actually being perfectly literal with these examples. Buffy the Vampire Slayer was played to perfection by Sarah Michelle Gellar, who was born on April 15th, 1977, when the Sun was in Aries and when Venus was retrograde in Aries. And the first episode of the TV show aired on March 10th, 1997, just 3 weeks before a Sun-Venus exterior conjunction in Aries. That means the Sun-Venus exterior conjunction in Aries was exact by the airing of the third episode. And what is Buffy the Vampire Slayer if not the inversion of the classic female victim trope? What Buffy do we have in our own time? What warrior woman are we getting this time in our media? The first standalone Wonder Woman movie is premiering on June 2nd, 2017. On that day, not only is Venus in Aries a brilliant morning star at its maximum elongation, but it is also conjunct revolutionizing Uranus, a fitting transit for the long overdue feature of a classic female superhero. Wonder Woman is played by Gal Gadot, and she was born on April 30th, 1985, and that means she was born just 7 days after Venus stationed direct in Aries. In both cases, we have characters who are clear examples of this Venus in Aries warrior woman archetype debuting while Venus is in Aries, played by actors who were born when Venus was in Aries. It's weird. It's almost like there's something to all this astrology stuff. Much strange. Very astrology. Wow. If you like this episode, please give it a like and a share on your social media channels. You can catch my new videos every Friday by subscribing to my YouTube channel, and you can even join the cool kids on my Patreon to get my videos a day early. I love reading your comments and questions, so please feel free to give me your thoughts down below. Also, I'm collecting personal stories of awesome/terrible transits for a future video, so if you have a great one you'd like me to share, send me an email at patrickwatsonAstrologer@gmail.com. And thanks for watching.